Hi, I'm Ashwin. Today I'm going to show you a fabulous game of Keres against Laszlo Szabo. The game was played in 1955 where Keres had sacrificed his both of rooks to deliver checkmate. In this game, Keres with the white pieces started the game with this e4 and now c5. So we have Sicilian defense on the board. Knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, takes, knight to f6, knight to c3, d6, and here Keres played bishop to g5. And this is known as a Richter-Rauzer variation of Sicilian defense. e6 was played in the game, and now queen to d2. This prepares long castle. Bishop to e7. Keres castle long, where Szabo went for short castle. And now f4, a6, and now e5 was played by Keres, where pawn captures on e5, and in case of pawn takes on e5, knight captures on e5 wins a pawn for black. So after pawn captures on e5, we have this intermediate pawn, knight captures on c6. But this allows this queen trade on d2. So say queen captures on d2 and then rook captures on d2, and after pawn captures on c6 we can simply take on e5 and knight to d5 force, where bishop captures on e7, knight captures on e7, and in this position white is having better minor pieces than black, because white knight can go to simply this d6 square, where black knight can always be kicked from this d5 with this c4 move and from f5 with this g4 move. So we can conclude that white is having better minor pieces. So what happened in the game, black didn't trade the queen, but instead after knight captures on c6 he just took the knight with a pawn. So now f captures on e5, knight to d7, and h4 was played in the game. In case of bishop captures on g5, this only helps white, because after this h captures on g5, white can simply go for g3 or g4 followed by this queen to h2, and white would be having strong attack along this h file. So after h4, black played this rook to b8, and black is looking for some counterplay on the queen side. Here queen to e3 was played, rook to e8, and now rook to h3, queen to f5. This hits the pawn on e5, and Keres played this bishop captures on e7 and rook captures on e7, and now rook to g3, and this pawn on e5 can't be taken. Say knight captures on e5, but then white can sacrifice his queen with queen takes on e5, and this is not technically a sacrifice, because queen captures on e5 can be met by this rook to d8, rook e8, and rook captures e8 is just checkmate. So anyways, after rook to g3, black played this rook to e8, and here of course you can continue the game with rook to e1, but Keres had something different in his mind, and he played this rook captures on d7, after bishop captures on d7, and now bishop to d3. In this position h6 was played, although better try would be to play rook to b4 and giving up the exchange at the right moment. Say queen to g5, protecting the pawn and also threatening checkmate. After g6, say a3, and now black can play this rook captures on b2, where white has to play this bishop captures on c6 in order to protect this knight. Say you are directly taking this rook, but then rook to b8 is just too scary. I mean, you have to again give up your bishop on this b5 square, whereupon bishop to b5, pawn captures on b5, and say knight to e4, but now b4 is just too strong. But anyways, we have something different on the board. In this position, after bishop to d3, h6 was played in the game, and here comes queen to f4, king to f8, and this is the final mistake of the game. Although in this position after queen to f4, it was better to play this queen to e7, so that queen can go to just e7 in order to protect this f7 square. But anyways, we have this king to f8 on the board, and here Keres came up with this rook captures on g7, threatening checkmate on f7, king captures on g7 force, and now queen to f6 check, king to f8. In case of king to g8, white can play simply queen captures on h6 and threatening checkmate with this bishop to h7 followed by bishop g6 back, queen h7 and queen to f7, and say you are just blocking that diagonal with f5, but now en passant, and it is really difficult to save checkmate on this g7 square. Of course you can, but you have to sacrifice a lot of materials, like first rook to e7, pawn captures on e7, and now even queen to f5, and bishop captures on f5, and white is just winning. But anyways, after queen to f6 check, actually black played this king to f8, and this allows checkmate into with bishop to g6. So Laszlo Szabo resign here. In case of say rook to e7, white can simply checkmate with this queen to h8, and in case of bishop g6 and this king to g8, queen captures on f7 followed by queen to h7 is just checkmate. So friends, how was the game? Thanks for watching. Bye bye.